today. Feels like I fell 1,000 times. Nothing but doubt to flood my mind. 'Cause sometimes it's hard to remember why I ever started racing with my dreams. A restless December, feeling I was meant for more than I believed. I'll never surrender, rather try and fail and fall 1,000,000 times. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I know as close as I am now, I will struggle, I will shout. There's no stopping, there's no doubt. I'm on my way. There's no stopping, there's no doubt. I'm on my way. I swear I meant to do this. I'm told that love would never lie. Where my head has met my heart and they are beautifully aligned. But sometimes it's hard to remember everything I've done that's brought me to this space. I started with embers, now a raging fire is burning in its place. I'll never surrender, rather try and fail and fall 1,000,000 times. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I know as close as I am now, I will struggle, I will shout. There's no stopping, there's no doubt. I'm on my way. There's no stopping, there's no doubt. I'm on my way. I know as close as I am now, I'm on my way.
The late night numbers nerd is back at it once again. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, doing this stuff in the middle of the night, as if anybody wants to watch a numbers nerd mess around with numbers in the middle of the night. I am working on a video, though, so I do want to actually get to some of that before the sun comes up, so I will be doing some of that as well. Let's just check up on the video here and also some of the lighting as well. Yeah, it is on manual focus, but I don't know if I got it as sharp as it could be. There we go. So yeah, doing stuff in the middle of the night, but the thing is, and the idea here is, this is not going to be, this stream is not all that time sensitive, so it's not going to be a priority to do the extended processing anytime soon. Just like the last one that I did, which was a Hangout stream. But I wound up deleting it because I just can't jive with the Hangout stream scene that encompasses what a lot of streamers do, where they just get on here and whatever happens, happens. I think a lot of it has the same negative vibes with me as vlogging did in the early days of YouTube. When I first started making videos on YouTube, there were a ton of vloggers that were using webcams and whatnot to just talk on screen. And I always felt like if I could do more than sit down in front of my little tennis ball cam on top of my tube monitor or whatever and talk about how my day went in some low shutter speed, low resolution, 100 megabytes max, low quality video file. If I could do more than that, then I should. And I thought I had the AV background to do exactly that. And this has informed how I stream nowadays, too. I just don't want to be just hanging around not doing something constructive. I don't just want to be sitting there playing a video game just because, oh, if I go live, people will eventually watch. Well, if I'm not doing anything interesting, why do I think, you ever stop and think about the mentality of a streamer? It starts to really not make sense really, really quickly. Like, hey, everybody, hey, hello, I've got a camera pointed at me. Everybody should be watching me. Why aren't people watching me? Da, 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 da. And the way to get yourself out of this mentality, if you're involved on YouTube, is just watch a couple of videos and note some of the good videos that are out there that aren't just stream highlights or something like that. Even just meme videos, like, for example, cat doing a backflip and then, feeding the cat a bunch of treats or something. I mean, I used to joke many years ago, actually now, about how literally anybody could make a video about anything on YouTube and people would watch it, not really acknowledging the power of the algorithm technology that existed back then and even today, but just a matter of just anything random that you could actually put on the internet could actually be a YouTube video and people would watch it. And so I've been watching some videos, and I've actually caught myself, wanting to watch a streamer, but finding some really interesting YouTube video in tab number 2 and just muting the streamer. And, even though it makes zero sense to do so. I mean, YouTube has a watch later feature. You can just DVR the whole thing, so to speak, and basically go back and watch it when the streamer's not live. But I was like, you know what? The streamer, I don't know. I'll just watch this video instead. So the streamer wouldn't know, of course, because I just muted the stream, put it in the background, so it was still playing and I was still a concurrent, but I was watching YouTube videos. So it's just a thing where, and then you catch yourself, binge watching and stuff like that. Next thing I know, I'm over watching some goofball BuzzFeed top 10 or something like that. And something along those lines. Oh yeah, that's right. I was watching this streamer earlier. Whoops. What happened? Yeah, there's one of those deals. So it's just crazy, but think about it for a second. You show up with your webcam and think people are going to watch you. That's the streamer mentality. But when it comes to making videos, you want to make something that people want to enjoy, or that people would want to enjoy. You want something to come into existence that doesn't exist right now. Like, say, your video tearing down some old computer you have or something. You're creating something. You're not just walking around all narcissistic saying, hey, people on the internet, look at me walking around my selfie stick. So you're not doing stuff like that. You're actually making stuff, and stuff that can probably stand the test of time better than you went to the club with your friends and IRL streamed it on February 12th, 2021 or something. Probably not 2021 because of the pandemic, but it's just the idea of wanting to make something has been a driving force for creators on YouTube for many, many years. And it just goes far beyond turning on a camera and looking for affirmation on the internet because people actually watch you. And this also is a great thing, too. If not a lot of people watch your videos, you could probably, mention it to other people, because telling people to watch your stream from 3 days ago is going to bounce off of people's foreheads, so to speak, compared to, I made this wonderful video about this or that or the other. It looks great. It's fun. It's entertaining. Check it out. So I think long-term, videos are just going to win. Just like they won before streaming became what it is today. Long-term, I think videos are going to win, because it's so much more freedom with making videos. I mean, right now, I can eat up all kinds of time streaming. Nobody's going to care about what I'm doing more than a few days later. And that's if they want to play catch-up and watch the stream replay after the fact. People just don't think that way about streaming. Largely because of Twitch. Twitch has emphasized personality streaming and hangout streaming to the point where it's burned into people's brains for the foreseeable future. But the idea of listening to a stream afterwards, like it's a radio show or something, or a podcast, is still something that takes some getting used to. So the idea of the hybrid streaming, where I show up, barely anyone's watching, barely anybody's chatting, but I'm here with a monologue and I say my piece and that's it. I don't do any of this stalling stuff or anything like that. And I certainly don't do everything I can to get to 3 hours, because that's what it takes for people to actually watch you on Twitch, apparently, according to some people. You know, I actually show up, do what I'm supposed to do, and it becomes a YouTube video afterwards. This is not popular in the streaming world. What's popular in the streaming world is stuff that's more like Hangouts. But do you really need more than maybe a friend or two to hang out with, so to speak, if you're watching streamers, as opposed to your watch later queue in YouTube? Just some things to think about. But I've thought of Hangout streaming much in the same manner as I used to think about vlogging. I think I could do better than that, and I should do better than that. I think I can do better, and I think that I should do better. I think I should have something that people are going to want to listen to after the fact as well, and not just sit here, just sitting here doing stuff until people show up in the chat or something like that. Like, yeah, I've been streaming for 7 hours today, and finally someone showed up. That's just... I have better things I can be doing, like making videos and editing things and, rearranging stuff around the house. I think some of what's going on with this boom and bust cycle that goes on with streamers on Twitch and the like is just a side effect of streaming itself. If you're going to barrel away for 14 hours a day, not get enough sleep, not get any exercise, not take care of yourself, it is going to start bothering you. So that's why I think it's probably better if someone watches somebody, check their Sully Gnome, see if they stream past 6 hours on a regular basis, they're probably not the best person to be watching. Because you're talking about a situation where, it sounds like a dream life that you just roll out of bed, stream, then go back to sleep, then get up and stream and go back to sleep. But if you've ever had an extended vacation where you didn't do much and you started feeling the effects of it because you were getting out of shape, and you were actually getting concerned about it because you go to do something that was effortless 2 weeks ago, and because you've been taking it easy, you're now winded from it because you're so out of shape from not doing very much. If you've ever been in a situation like that, now multiply that by being a full-time streamer doing this stuff, basically just sleeping and streaming, not getting any exercise in, and all the negative effects on your health. But you have to do it because that's how you make your money. You have to stick around hoping you get at least one more dono. Yeah, you have to do this. It's no way to live. And like I've been saying all along. What's up, Dan? Like I've been saying all along, I got the chat over on screen too tonight. Tonight's going to be way more monologue-ish because this is an important discussion about the never punish your best people because of your worst people. So I actually have a ton of talking points to go through. Might play catch up on what messages come in later. But you have a situation with some of these big streamers where they always seem to have this boom-bust cycle because, well, that's the way you keep a roof over your head now, is by not taking care of yourself. So, when S-Fan built his home gym and he started doing his workout streams, I think that was probably some kind of cool thing, for him anyways. And he should do more. He should have a workout stream every single day. I'm sorry. Don't sit there playing World of Warcraft. You're going to feel terrible. Especially if you're eating out and whatnot. So, you're just sitting there in front of the computer. Before all this streaming stuff happened, I actually was reading articles because I used to do a lot more office work than I do now. And I started feeling the effects of it. I was in the worst shape of my life right before the layoffs in 2012 when I first got into warehouse type stuff. To have that as, proof to the local warehouse scene that I wasn't just a throwaway computer guy. No, because that's this is the Connecticut woods we're talking about out here. There's not much except for Walmart and warehouses. So I don't want to be the latest person waddling around Walmart throwing stuff on the shelves and, all the mess that happens at Walmart. So I've always been the kind of person that didn't mind putting a little hustle into what it is that I do and, some good old fashioned hard work. Now, I didn't really, I've always been the kind of person who didn't mind, breaking a sweat, so to speak, to not have to work with the people that are just like, oh, what is your job? I don't care. And I've always been that kind of person. So the industrial parks are it for me. So in terms of, if there's nothing technical going on, and by the way, if I was doing computer stuff, I would have been considered non-essential and either work from home or laid off. So, but let's say I was an IT guy for a school system that shut down for a couple of months until hybrid learning started up. So, yeah, it's just, I think right now with the pandemic, as we emerge from it, people just have to get through it by whatever means necessary. Then we just have to watch and see that the HR world out there doesn't hold it against job candidates that you did what you could to get through the pandemic, just like you did what you could to get through the recession, instead of sitting home unemployed because I'm an IT guy, like I saw during the Great Recession with 99ers out of work for years. It's not that there weren't any jobs. They just didn't want the jobs that were available because they were IT people. Regardless. So that's really the thing. I just can't really click with the idea of Hangout streaming because YouTube and years of YouTubing has just made it to where I want to be doing something constructive, talking about something constructive, not wasting my time on stuff that's just shooting the breeze on camera on the internet. But that's not very interesting in the long run. And the amount of effort, again, opportunity cost, the amount of effort that goes into doing stuff like that versus making YouTube videos, what's better in the long run, especially when YouTube's algorithms can send your stuff around months or years after the fact. Yeah. This is why I talk about a stream life crisis. These streamers that have snubbed YouTube for a couple of years and focused on Twitch so much, it's going to be a problem because the inherent weaknesses of Twitch as primarily a live stream platform are going to start affecting these people when they're 4 or 5 years into streaming and wondering if they could have done something better with their time. Especially if they see, for example, successful YouTubers with videos still getting views 4 or 5 years later, as opposed to streamers, where who cares about what they were streaming about 5 years ago? That's the thing. Let's talk about never punish your best people because of your worst people. That's how you end up with no people. A very foreboding statement, but it applies to a lot of different things. So, I mean, if you're an employer and you punish your best people because of your worst people, you may roll out some ridiculous policy that insults away your best talent and your business is not as competitive. When it comes to content creation, you'll drive away the better people in your audience and be left with the worst people in your audience because self-respecting, respectable people who want to respect others and be respected are not going to want to walk on eggshells, for example, if you are basically snubbing them in order to deal with bad people in your audience, sometimes very publicly to the point where it sidetracks your channel and your content. So fundamentally, if this is one of the reasons why, you know, we talk about this Ginny situation with Ginny Detective and all that drama nonsense. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was getting blown up in my face, so to speak, and blocked on Twitter by hotheads, social justice hotheads on Twitter, who are different people on Twitter than they are in their Twitch streams, for saying things like, you're not a god just because you can ban people. It very easily reflects negatively on you. And here we are. I was looking over the numbers regarding all this drama stuff. Now keep in mind, the detective videos were introduced to me algorithmically. I didn't really care about what the deal was with whatever Ginny was dealing with the last 6 months. I really didn't care about it. I just watched her streams and liked the goofy stuff that she did. Never thought of her as an e-girl or anything of that sort of thing. So if she has a boyfriend anywhere in the world, it's whoop-de-doo. She's a mature adult making her own decisions. Wow, what a concept. Hell, she could be a full-time wild and crazy swinger with all kinds of non-exclusive relationships, as some people call them, in all kinds of countries, to the point where she never had to Airbnb ever again. And you know what? That's how she chooses to live her life. She's a grown adult. She can make her own decisions. The end. The biggest issue I have with what this whole situation has done is the banning sprees and the feeling of having to walk on eggshells because people get insta-banned for saying Sweden in her chat or something like that, because that's the focus of the drama. Oh no, some oiler who donated tens of thousands of dollars might have gone on a date with her when she was in Sweden. Woo! Such horrible news to the world, isn't it? Unbelievable. Just look, it's the internet. People make big deals out of stupid stuff on the internet all the time. Like, oh, is this dress blue or pink? Anyone remember that one? Oh, no, I think it was blue and gold. It was a trick of the light. A huge argument over what color a dress was that was going around social media. The internet, ladies and gentlemen. But it's not like this hasn't existed before. Go back to the 90s. That CD-ROM I probably still have floating around somewhere, the Macworld Weird Wide Web, that introduced me to such wonderful things on the internet, such wondrous, constructive uses of our time on the internet, such as the Twinkies Project. A science experiment where people put Twinkies in the microwave and did all kinds of stuff with Twinkies to see what you could do with them instead of actually just eating them and enjoying them. Or how about virtual bubble wrap? It's exactly what it sounds like. Popping bubbles. Popping bubbles in an HTML page or early Flash or whatever it is. But yeah, virtual bubble wrap. Ooh. You know? Or how about, as we headed into the new millennium, joecartoon.com back then. The frog in a blender, the gerbil in the microwave, Torpedo Joe, all those Flash games. Or how about Heavy, or the little Susie cartoons, or Papu or something like that. All those goofy little internet cartoons that was like, the minute people got a copy of Flash, they had to make the dumbest, most brain dead cartoons in the world or something like that, which put even the Mike Judge era to shame with like Beavis and Butthead in the 90s and stuff like that. All that, brain falling out of your head humor that started with Beavis and Butthead and went on through to like Office Space and stuff like that. This is just the alternative world of that decade and things like that. Actually, one time there was a cartoon that I really liked though during the early 2000s, and that was Stone Trek, which was a Flash cartoon series that was a perfect pastiched mashup of the Flintstones and Star Trek. So it's just, and of course, yes, absolutely, YouTube poops. Those random videos that didn't make any sense but went viral for some strange reason. The internet is really what brings out, in many cases, the worst in humanity, but also the weirdest of humanity. Because any random thing can wind up on the internet. Then there's YouTube itself, like we were joking about earlier. You can, you can sometimes you just make a video on YouTube about literally anything and it'll get views somehow. Because there's someone out in the world, somewhere out there in the world, who is curious about your sad attempt to overclock your washing machine or something like that. That is something I randomly thought off the top of my head, too. I haven't seen a video on it. But if I know my people like I think I do, the way humanity is, if I can think of it, somebody out there is probably trying to do it. Let's pop up some Firefox here. Let's go to YouTube and mute the tab so we don't have anything playing. Let's mute YouTube here so nothing auto plays. All right. So, overclocking. Is there a video for it? Overclocking my washing machine. It's the most random thing in the world. I got an Aussie 50 video. Oh, man. OBS. Where's OBS? Put OBS on screen, too, and go Firefox. Here's the search results. So, an Aussie 50 video. And, of course, one of the things he does is he takes his... one of the things that Aussie 50 does, he turns off the safety features on washing machines and then makes them spin full blast with a bowling ball in them until they rattle themselves apart. Microwave overclocked. A microwave gets far too much power. Does your washing machine or dryer dance, vibrate, or how to make anti-slip foot pads for free? So some help content in there as well. But here we go. Aussie 50. This is a classic. 6.8 million views. I remember seeing this when it first came out because I'm old. Aussie 50 self-destructing washing machines. I think one of them, actually, the motor keeps spinning and it just dances like a chain. Yeah, it says chain chomp there because, like in the Mario games, when the chain chomp would bounce around after the chain broke, the thing bounced around after its extension cord, with its cord after the whole case fell apart. Well, yeah, Aussie 50 is, by the way, is one. Yeah, there you go. Look at that thumbnail. And by the way, no wild thumbnail either. So it is what it is. And this content gets views based on its own merit, not some screwball manipulation techniques with neon lights or PowerPoint slides. But yeah, Aussie 50. Aussie 50, classic. Oh, man. Yeah, so this is actually the tinkering videos that he does with appliances is part of the inspiration for the tinkering that I've done over the years with computers. So, yeah, it's a great... I should probably just put it over on Twitter and see if anybody on Twitter can figure out what I'm talking about. Well, let's do that. Washer Goes Chain Chomp. I've seen this a bazillion times. Hey, we'll even give him an ad impression while I'm sharing this to Twitter. Except I don't have Twitter set up in this browser, so we'll just take the link and we'll just browser bounce and share it there. Close that down. Oh boy, I've got a bazillion Sully gnomes open. I wonder if that's going to interfere with the stream. Let's post a random video and see if the Twitter people give a darn. See, where's the smirk face? Get that set up. Smirkity smirk smirk. Where is that? It's not one of my most common emojis on here, so I'm going to have to type it in. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Twitter.com/MultimediaJay. This is the most non sequitur tweet that I've posted in the last 72 hours. And it's pretty random, too, considering I was talking about the analyst Andy thing, because I actually went over to Ginny's video and left a comment there about never punish your best people because of your worst people. And if she deletes the comment or bans me or something like that, I screened it and put it on Twitter because, you know, my points stand regardless. Well, let's see. Hey, while we have it on screen, let's read it out. Never punish your best people because you're worst people. That's how you end up with no people. Getting to the actual topic of what I want to talk about here. Since sending the snoozy faces because haters starting drama on the internet is nothing new to me, you've been Streisanded by the YouTube algorithms. I was introduced to the drama videos specifically because you made this one, and the metadata was similar enough for the YouTube algorithms to think I'd be interested in the drama videos and send them to my feeds. The videos have their issues, such as weaving speculation into documentation to try to snooker viewers. We talked about that earlier. Seen that before with conspiracy theorists and whatnot. I don't care if you have a boyfriend anywhere in the world, and wouldn't even care if you went all wild world-traveling swinger with so many boyfriends in multiple countries you never had to Airbnb ever again. Regardless of what some internet haters say, it's your life. The big problem is going to be the mass bannings. Not everyone nerds out on your Discord and actually knows that any of this was ever going on. They shouldn't be caught in the crossfire. Furthermore, folks like myself who like watching your streams and don't care for some rando's conspiracy drama about you won't want to walk on eggshells when there are others out there who don't have this kind of baggage. Hardened haters, on the other hand, will be so dedicated to pestering you that they'll bust out VPNs and sock puppet accounts to ban evade and keep bringing this up. For those of you that don't know, Twitch has a harsher banning system than YouTube. If you ban someone on YouTube, they're basically shadow banned from your channel, but they can still sub and things. It's like a Reddit ban. They just can't say anything. But over on Twitch, there's a message that says you're banned and you're shadow banned by IP if you create sock puppet accounts. So you'd want to use VPNs and stuff if you really disliked somebody and wanted to keep bothering them. And I'm sure if I can think of it, there's some bozos out in the world who will do that. So I'm sure there are people out there using sock puppet accounts and all kinds of other stuff to keep pestering people, and it just becomes a nuisance. So anyways, that's how all the mass banning is going to backfire. And when enough good people figure this out and leave, you'll end up with an antagonistic audience and wonder how it got that way. You took too many ideas from S-Fan. You should get more ideas from Mizkif. Miz has one heck of an ability to be a smartass, embarrass trolls, and turn the tables on them. The numbers reflect this as well. Anywho, this'll be it from me. I'm not one to walk on eggshells in order to not get banned about some drama I might not know about. I deal with enough drama at work, and usually look for less of it when I get home. So, that's the comment. I rarely write comments at all, much less big comments or comments that go into that much detail. I think if you're going to go into that much detail, you should be making videos. Take the time to make videos and express yourself. Now, this is not a lighthearted situation with her, though. I mean, because of, again, bad people on the internet, you may start out with somebody who's just over analyzing your personal life, and next thing you know, the right people, it's like a game of telephone. The more people tell the story, the wackier it gets. So you start out with somebody over-analyzing your personal life. Next thing you know, you have people trying to maliciously break into your Instagram account or sending you nasty emails or stuff that needs to be handed off to the police and stuff along those lines. But it's the sort of thing where she didn't bring any drinks tonight because I've already hydrated quite well since getting home. But we'll bust out the lip balm because we are at 28% humidity because the last time I ran the humidifier, there was too much residue in the mist from trying to clean it with some Listerine, and it set off the smoke detectors, and I don't want to be doing that at 1:45 in the morning. But it is a serious situation. It is a serious situation with her, but at the same time, it's also something that happens when you get big enough to have this be a nasty side effect of your own success. It's why I posted that Weird Al TMZ song, a link to the TMZ song from Weird Al's album that came out 10 years ago. And that's, by the way, talking about the Streisand effect. That's how I first learned about TMZ. I was like, what the heck's TMZ? Is that like the Weekly World News for celebrities or something? Yeah. And I found out since then that they, all this gossipy stuff and things like that. And some gossip publications actually would rather get sued and pay damages than lose out on the money from the juicy piece of gossip they make some hammed up story about. So this is one of the things too. I mean, you jump on the internet and you're making like YouTube videos or something, you think you can just rattle off and be disrespectful to people. No, the people you may be taking influence from may have ways around the consequences that you don't have. So, plus it's in YouTube's guidelines these days for advertiser friendliness that if you're going to disagree with somebody, you need to do it in a non-hurtful manner. So it's right there in the guidelines for monetization. So I'm not going to be like some of these big name drama people who I'm not interested in publicizing on here, by the way, who have literally built their entire YouTube empire or whatever off of making people feel bad. Matter of fact, as always, I'm going to leave the door open for Ginny to do the right thing here. I'm just going to vote with my feet and watch other people. Mentioned Meowko last time. She's a streamer from the Japan scene who's living in Belgium for whatever reason. I think she got stuck there. She took some trip there and then the country went into lockdown or something, but she does just chatting and some IRL if she can, given the lockdowns and stuff like that. But she has a lot more fun and laughs a lot more than a lot of these KIRLs do. So it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things where, you have somebody who's this entertaining and they have issues versus someone who's maybe, they're as entertaining but don't stream as much, but they don't have any drawbacks. Who do you watch? I mean, do you want to have to walk on eggshells to not get banned when you meant someone no ill will? So yeah, this is a serious situation, but it's also a huge learning experience for all of us. And she can too, if she ever wants to view it this way. That you should never punish your best people because of your worst people, because that's how you end up with no people. So let's talk about this for a second with this drama that is boat anchoring a lot of her progress right now. And it shows, and the numbers reflect that. Who are her best people? Her best people are the people that are going to watch and support her and say nice things about her and tell other people about what she does and bring other good people into the audience. Remember, we're not just, the term community is just painting with too broad of a brush. You have two major demographics in a so-called Twitch streamer community, your audience and your fan base. Anybody can watch you, but you're looking for people who like you and support you fundamentally. And the balance between who does what is extremely important because there's a lot of good people in this world who will be driven away by the bad people you have in your audience if you have too many of them. Because people don't want to, no matter how much they like you, they don't want to deal with you constantly being upset or distracted or your channel getting all but taken over by having to put out fires, so to speak. So demographics, as usual, are key with all of this. It's a huge thing with this kind of stuff. So her best people are the people that want to constructively support what it is that she does. Maybe not even the people that give the most money in terms of donos and subs and cheers and stuff, but just, the people that like her and want to see her keep entertaining them because they understand she's an entertainer. She's not trying to be an e-girl of any sort. And I mentioned the swinger thing, but that's just me being a nerd and being intellectual about things and brainstorming stuff because there's a lot of social conservatism in the culture she comes out of that would have a big, big problem with her if she ever did that. But I'm just saying that I'm open-minded enough that even if she did do that, I wouldn't hold it against her. Same thing, too, with these other good-looking streamers. Oh, look, they actually want to have a boyfriend? Ooh, whoop-de-doo. And there's a whole bunch of drama on just that idea of whether some of your favorite good-looking streamers might be secretly married or have secret boyfriends. So I've seen it with Pokimane and I've seen it with Amaranth. But the situation that we got, the big thing here, though, is outside of all this internet stuff, have there ever been situations where a married celebrity was still somebody that folks would have a poster of on their wall. Like Pamela Anderson, for example. From Baywatch on down, maybe some people like her because she's into, PETA and stuff like that too. I don't know Pam Anderson's fan base very well. But, from the Baywatch days on down, even though she's been married to various folks, have there really been people that are like, well, she's married now, got to throw away the poster? If they had like a poster from her Baywatch days or something like that. So it's just, look, people have parasocial relationships are bizarre sometimes. And there are some people out there that, they like this celebrity, but they get married. Oh, just, have a fantasy about them still being single and me being with them and blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't that be nice? Da, 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 da. So it's just weird stuff people do when someone else becomes famous. Whatever. It's just, well, I'll just reiterate what my dad said all those years ago. He was talking about people getting too obsessed about celebrity gossip. He had an old school TV guide, the magazine version, about the size of a small tablet these days, but paper. There's a lead article outside of the television listings, because TV Guide always had those, about some kind of celebrity weddings. Like, hey, what kind of dress do you think so-and-so's wearing when she marries this actor or whatever? And he says, look, I don't care what you do with your time, and I don't care it's your life, it's your decision and whatnot. It's it's your choice what you do with yourself. But if this is the highlight of your day, you need to turn off the TV, get up off the couch, and get yourself a life. So, it was right, too. I mean, some of the things it's the diamond water paradox all over again. We place value on things that really don't deserve it a lot of the times. We get obsessed over stupid stuff, and then the stuff that really matters, we don't take seriously enough. It's crazy. Just like how we'll pay a ton of money for diamonds, but flip out over the price of bottled water, even though one is way more vital to our survival than the other. And I'll give you a hint. The other one's a diamond. So this whole situation with her is something that I think she could handle better. But the big thing, though, is the mass bannings. So there's this Ginny Lounge site that is dedicated to screening literally everything that they get upset about. And they have Discord screenshots, Twitch Chatterino screenshots, people mentioning Sweden getting banned, the person who was previously subbed for 16 months that got banned. I was like, oh, look at all these dedicated haters out there. Yeah, well, there's a twist to this. Because if you have people that are picking apart everything you do so much, and you kind of lurk over there, they're putting their cards on the table. But you haven't put all your cards on the table because you're the content creator. So Devin Nash has a really interesting take on this. He quotes President Obama, one of his more philosophical quotes as a politician, which is bizarre sometimes seeing politicians becoming philosophers. And probably the thing I agreed with President Obama the most on is this idea about people that disliked him, that they didn't dislike him as much as they disliked the construct of him that they created in their brains, sometimes based on incomplete information and dumb assumptions. So the idea that Devin brought up is this idea that your haters are working for free. Think about it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and not everybody's going to like you. Just a simple law of averages or whatever. That Rush Limbaugh thing I mentioned earlier, one of the most useful things I've seen from El Rushbo during his day was, and this is a guy I barely agreed with anything on, except when I actually did read some conservative stuff when I was in college. But the most useful thing I ever saw from all those years of El Rushbo doing his thing was talking about how you have to take charge of your content as a radio broadcaster because not everybody's going to like you. And they're actually also the contrarians thing, that there are people out there who are they want to make you mad, because making you mad gets you to listen to their radio show. Even if you're yelling at the radio, you're still listening. That boosts the Arbitron ratings, the whole 9 yards. So you can build an audience by upsetting people. You can get big numbers by upsetting people, but there's going to be side effects. I was shocked to learn in my college days, learning about broadcast media, that Howard Stern has traditionally been a concealed carry guy who often has a gun on him when he's not in the studio. But, if you built your career off of being controversial and your show off of being controversial, you may feel the need to protect yourself from all those people you've made mad and whatnot. What if they're whack jobs who are armed or something like that? It's part of what the Second Amendment is about, is self-defense, right to bear arms. But it's shocking lesson. I don't want to say a stern lesson, because that would be a terrible pun. But it's definitely an eye-opening lesson for anybody that, if you go out of your way to make people mad, you will succeed, just because not everybody's going to like everything that you do. And so, when we apply this to a situation with haters, not everybody is going to agree with you. Just the way life is. Different people come from different backgrounds. They have different experiences and different opinions. At the same time, not everybody's going to like or agree with your haters when they make their videos about you on YouTube or whatever. So, what these people are doing is, number one, the algorithm will pass around stuff that boosts, what people know about you, even if it's antagonistic. This time, I was already following Ginny, and I found out about the detective videos through the algorithms. But the reverse could have happened. I could have heard about Ginny for the first time because of these drama videos. I get curious. I go check out her stream or one of her YouTube videos, and I find out the way she is just doesn't match this horrible monster I've been introduced to in these videos. And I'm like, those people making the drama videos are nuts. They have no credibility. Heck with them. And so you have new people watching because of something that was supposed to be a bad thing. But of course, there's people that are just looking for drama, in which case you unceremoniously ban them, and that's that. But here's the kicker. If you make too much of a big deal out of this, you drive away the good people. Likewise, too much of the banning will drive them away too, because people don't want to walk on eggshells. So what you end up with is good people leaving, but the bad people who don't care about you, who don't care that they have to put in some effort to keep bothering you, and they bust out the VPNs and the sock puppet accounts, they just stick around and they keep being obnoxious. You have to find a way to get those people to not want to bother with you anymore without making yourself look worse in the process. And one of the biggest ways to do that is just bore them to death. Find some way, essentially, to turn the situation into a not a big deal, or just that what they're doing isn't really gonna in any way steer your ship, so to speak. The movie Clear and Present Danger, a morality tale about Harrison Ford playing the last honest guy in Washington, had an interesting situation involving a scandal involving the President of the United States. And there's a line in the movie where Jack Ryan tells the president, okay, you're worried about being associated with this guy who had some corruption issues, but if you just come out and say, yeah, we were lifelong friends, you basically destroy the ability of the journalist to have a story. Because there's nothing, oh, what are they hiding? Well, there's nothing to hide, so there's nothing to print. There's nothing exciting now. And it's what people were thinking anyways. So it diffuses the situation. So, and then there's some other thing that Ginny could consider. That she's taking too much influence from S-Fan, who has a boom and bust cycle, oftentimes ending up in, complaint sessions on his alt channel, S-Fan Radio. That's one of the things I noticed, that he's very cyclical with these things. He'll seem to be doing fine, and then he'll get bogged down by something that has him upset again, whether it's his numbers or what have you. But the guy has a bit of an issue sometimes where he really likes messing with others and trolling people. Sometimes it just goes too far when the joke's on him. But here's the thing. Contrarianism 101, and not a good lesson. If you go out of your way to make people mad, don't complain when you succeed, especially if you're really driven to success. That's the thing. It's one of the other things with regards to contrarianism as well that I have a huge problem with, is these people, they go out of their way to make someone mad, and then they're upset when they actually make them mad. But anyways, going back to the whole thing with these people, with the haters. The haters are playing their hand. They literally have nothing else except what you do to go off of for material. So if you make everything all boring and everything, they have nothing left to do. shuts everything down. Or, hey, maybe you want to give them the impression that they've won, so they go bragging to their buddies about it and the situation's over. But hey, you're still in charge of your channel. You still do whatever. So shut them down, make them think they've won, and move on with things that way. Wouldn't be the first time something like that happened. But it's people. I mean, the world has bad people in it. You're eventually going to have to deal with the bad people. How you handle them is pretty important. It's a pretty serious thing. The other thing to keep in mind is, again, you have a content edge over everybody who hates you. The people on this forum site that are picking apart everything she does, well, they've played their hand. You know what they're saying. So that can be an inspiration to be a different person from what they're describing and make them look like idiots with no credibility. Something to think about. You think? But that's the thing. You know what they're saying. You can dial it in and see it anytime they want. Anytime you want. Just lurk over there. You don't have to say anything, but you know what they're saying. They can't predict some big twist in your content or some smart-ass move to embarrass the living daylights out of them that ruins their credibility and makes them look like idiots. And that's why I say I think that Ginny should have taken less influence from S-Fan, who struggles with a lot of stuff like this when he trolls, then someone trolls him back, and he just doesn't want to take the joke right now, so he gets upset about it, versus Mizkif. Miz, who has higher concurrence on average, by the way, than S-Fan does. But he has this very uncanny ability to be a total smartass and embarrass people trying to mess with him. Seeing it in his streams. Actually, out of all the OTKs, I stopped following the OTKs and the KIRLs, but I still find out about stuff here and there via algorithms. Twitch has them, particularly if I don't blacklist a channel. Because if you unfollow somebody, they just show up in your recommendeds in the lower left anyways, because Twitch's systems don't seem to know that people unfollow channels for a reason. So all you're doing is just shifting them from people you follow to recommended channels for a while until the algorithms give up. So I found out about a few things via people on Twitter talking about stuff and people on Twitch algorithms and things like that. So as much as I'll say YouTube's the algorithm king. And since I've been talking about this stuff and doing some digging on it, I now have a whole bunch of Twitch clips in my YouTube feeds from all these channels that are like the Pepe Laugh Collection or something, all the funniest Twitch moments. And of course, because there's a visual element, and I've watched stuff from some of these streamers before, if their faces match in the thumbnail, there you go. That's going to be a while. Even if I totally didn't continue in any way keeping an eye on this, it would be a while before I stopped getting stuff pushed in my face. Because these are streamers with big followings and notable SEO already dialed into YouTube, including people making videos about them, or these clippers who are posting random clips on YouTube channels. But out of all the OTKs, I think Mizkif actually is in the best situation out of all of them. Asmongold has had problems with drama. S-Fan has problems with getting overly emotional sometimes. But Miz, he's a lot more professional, and everything that S-Fan I've ever liked about S-Fan, Mizkif does better. Like the whole idea of going over a friend's house, watching him play video games. Well, Miz is usually just lounging in his room, and he has some friends come in, "Sup, y'all," or something like that. And just the whole, Miz has the Hangout stream thing down really well. I would go so far as to say that out of the OTKs, the rest of the OTKs need Mizkif more than Mizkif needs the OTKs. I think he's doing really well on his own. And, well, the others are still around because he wants it. He wants them. I don't know. He could do just fine carving his own path. And so, I don't know if it's the Mario 64 speedruns or anything, but he just has a pulse on this kind of stuff. So, I say even if I stay away from this for a week or so, I probably might end up just watching what he does again. Not so much some of his colleagues like S-Fan and Asman, who've both had problems with drama and being overly emotional sometimes. But still, though, who does the best on these platforms? Again and again and again. Whoever keeps it professional the best. Over on YouTube, AVGN. all the views he's gotten, and he has an evergreen video catalog. So even if he's getting like rinky-dink little amounts of ad revenue, that can add up because of how successful his AVGN videos and other videos have been. So he just has bigger numbers to play with across the board, but one of the reasons why those numbers are so big is because he's kept it professional. I think even Mike Matei has gotten into more drama than he has. So he's stayed focused on content and not getting sidetracked by stuff that randos on the internet, who are usually nowhere near as successful as whoever they're lampooning, not getting sidetracked by all of that. James is pretty much a role model for me in terms of keeping things professional. Probably could be a role model for Mizkif too, but we're talking YouTubers and Twitch streamers here, so different ecosystems. So, and then out of the KIRLs, I told the system not to show me any of Ginny's videos, and I'll tell you though, a Twitch blacklist is easier to undo than a YouTube blacklist. I've looked at the processes involved in both. Google buries it a lot deeper. So it's more of a thing if someone blacklists you on YouTube and tells the system to never show you their content ever again than it is on Twitch. Big surprise, something on Twitch ain't as hammered out technologically as something on YouTube. We've never seen that before now, have we? / sarcasm. So her friends, two of her friends, Kyunghee and Hachabi, are two streamers in their own, who are pretty decent in their own right, but they also have strong YouTube presences. And at the very same time, I think they could go their own way and be successful. They don't necessarily need to be in any way attached to what Ginny's been doing. So I think there's situations here where there's people that can come out, even who are part of these scenes, that could come out as the winner. But one of the big things to look at is the hard numbers. Let's fire up Sully Gnome. And by the way, the seriousness of this discussion is why I'm not playing music tonight. This is a pretty serious lesson to learn about not punishing your best people because of your worst people. So, for example, don't have people worrying about getting banned and walking on eggshells because you have some of your worst people out there who are cooking up stuff that you can debunk by being different than what they portray at any moment. Again, in a situation like this, it's the content creator that has the edge over the haters. The haters have literally nothing unless you do something. So, who holds the cards? Always the content creator. Always. And even when it comes to cancel culture, the best way to... You really cancel yourself. You don't really... You have to choose to stop. It's not a situation where, unless someone gets you unless you get thrown in jail or something, there's really... not a situation, just refreshing a bunch of tabs here. It's just not a situation where you're not in control of your own destiny. It takes something really, really serious for that to happen. I'm just going to refresh the data in what is probably the most Sully Gnome tabs I've had open for this long in a stream at any given time. So here's the situation, and part of the problems with this also has some lessons with regards to collabs as well. People talk about collabs as these wonderful growth mechanisms, but the truth of the matter is that your results will vary depending on the situation with the other streamer, or the other creator, I should say, because this can also be the case with videos. The situation with the other creator, as well as numbers in general. Let's take a look at some of the numbers behind the KIRLs and what's going on since all of this happened. And we've done this before, but let's just bring this back up again. Never punish your best people because of your worst people. That's the wrong window. I have that screenied on Twitch, or on Twitter anyways, but at least we know it's auto-linking. So, yeah, we have that. That's actually on Twitter, by the way, anyway, so don't really need to reiterate it, especially when we read it earlier. Let's see if it auto-links to the right stuff. Oh, of course not! It auto-links to the wrong stuff. Whatever. Let's see here. Avast Secure. Let's get this linked up, and let's look at these Sully Gnome numbers. Let's look at these Sully Gnome numbers, and let's go full size with these things. Yeah, there we go. Boom. All right, let's look at her. Let's look at the Sully Gnomes right now. So if we zoom way in, to get those concurrents front and center. So here's the last 365 days. Texas season 1 ended right around here. Came back. 4,000 is the big number to watch because comes back, has to quarantine for 2 weeks, etc., but then does collabs, the music video, things like that throughout the summer, and routinely rockets the concurrence off the 4,000 line. Then eventually, things start to get kind of dull and whatnot. Off to Europe. People get bored with that. Europe goes into lockdowns, things like that. And right around this time is where this drama that's going on currently focuses on, as to whether, when she went back to Sweden instead of going to Korea to be with, be in a place for 2 weeks and whatnot, that's what everyone's obsessed with. And whoop-de-doo. Again, I really don't, nobody should care if she has a boyfriend or not. That's just a non sequitur. These are grown adults we're talking about here. They can do that. And again, also the Twitch bowl effect. We talked earlier about the whole situation with celebrities, and how even though the celebrities get married, there's people that'll still be like, oh, I wish I was with so and so or whatever. Regardless of that, it's just people being people and people being stupidly obsessed with stuff like, oh, somebody who's like way out of their league in many, many ways. So Europe comes to an end. And then off to Texas. This is Texas Season 2, this huge thing right here, but there's a bit of a decline to it versus Season 1, where there was kind of an increase because she was meeting a new audience, so to speak. And actually, she benefited from the collab more than S-Fan did. S-Fan's more of a game streamer and stuff like that, but if you look at his numbers, if we look at his numbers specifically, they don't really, here's something similar. Here it is right here, but if we expand this out a little, back to about 2019 or so, we see a big dip. So September 2019, launch of Classic WoW. He's a World of Warcraft streamer primarily back then. Does all that. Around here, here's the bump. Here's the bump from Season 1. And then he's done other things since then, took a month off, changed a few things up, became more of an IRL streamer. Things along those lines. But every so often he still gets upset about some things. Well, who benefited more in terms of, he came off of about $3,000 or so, maybe up to around $5,000 or so. Classic WoW's launch did more for him than that in terms of concurrence. So back this out, throughout this time period, we're talking about 5,000-ish or so he's hung around. And here's Miz, 13K. He's gotten involved in things like Mario 64 speedrunning and things along those lines, but you'll often see higher numbers with Mizkif. And Mizkif also is better at keeping things professional. I know what to expect from him. It'll be like overgrown man-child playing video games too much, kind of like XQC, but he's hanging out, friends come over, things like it's fun. Just don't be an obnoxious idiot or whatnot in his chat. But there we go. So going back to this, returns and quarantines. She returns, she quarantines, and then out of quarantine 2 weeks later, and is stuck around 4K. Remember the 4K rule we talked about earlier? The 4K rule that we talked about earlier, during the summer of 2020, she kept rocketing off of it. Now, some of the volatility in any Twitch streamer's numbers is due to hosts and raids. But we have over here just boat anchored. What do you do about that? And what's also worth noting is, there's a little bit of volatility here, but around the 22nd, there's no activity. That's when the video release is dealing with the drama. So whatever negative effects, like for example, getting Streisanded by YouTube's algorithms, whatever negative effects it's going to have are going to show up in the next round of streams. And so far, definitely a lot less movement than we saw earlier, even with collabs. Now, this is something I noted before the numbers got thrown off by a raid on Hachu's stream with the collab she did with Hachu and Auntie, is that nobody was really gaining anything there, except she got some more concurrence while her friends lost concurrence. So, she got up towards 5,000, but at the same time, you look at the numbers minus the raid on Hachu, you can explain the difference in concurrence almost entirely because of an audience exchange. About 900 people or so, on average, were involved. So let's just zoom these out. Let's zoom these back out here. Let's zoom these all back out. So that's what we're looking at here. So here's the stream summaries with the concurrence. The 5,000 stream on Tuesday the 2nd had a collab involved. And there's one going on with $3,000 and stuff like that. But the thing is, her friends have established fan bases too. They're just not as big. Because it's not as much going to be the case that you have collabs as any real way to grow the stream, because everybody pretty much knows everybody in the clique by now, as opposed to last summer when she was introducing those people that watched during the whole Texas thing for the first time to all these people for the first time. They've had plenty of time to make up their own decisions who out of this group, if any, they're going to be watching. So, see, we don't need S-Fans numbers anymore. We don't need Mizkif's numbers anymore. So, keep an eye on Tuesday the 2nd. So, $5,000 to $4,000 after being kind of stuck there. Kind of being stuck around 3 and 4. So, Hachu getting a 2785. If we drill down on that stream, we find, of course, a raid. Here's the stream. Here's the stream progression. Now, when I first looked at the numbers, she was averaging about 1,800 or so. So she was down to around 1,800 on average. Auntie, on the other hand, was practically cut in half viewer-wise. From these two 8s down to 429 for a collab. So she lost the most out of everybody. And it's just one of those things where people that would have normally watched her were watching on Ginny's channel instead. So yeah, I mean, the concurrent thing with what happened here, especially if we overlap with when the collab took place, around 3:30 Sully Gnome time. I think Sully Gnome servers are GMT or a time zone close to that, because no matter what time it is locally, it seems to always be the same time zone on here. But we look at the stream and the run up to the collab, which if we go over to here, when was this? 3:30 p.m. Sully Gnome time. So we get over to here, and the run up to the maximum concurrence happens right before the collab. And then afterwards, it's just right out until 5:45 p.m. Sully Gnome time, when Hachu, roughly, here's 5:45, gets the jump, probably a raid. But if we take out the effect of this raid, and she did a pretty good job of, not losing so many people in that respect, because things kept going up from there, after being stuck around here for a while. And we take this out, though, the boost from 4K to 5K is perfectly explainable simply via an audience exchange between her and her friends. So it's just an example of collabs not always being the silver bullet to stream growth. You have a situation here where pretty much the numbers tell you that people just shifted from one streamer to the other. It's not, and if there's too much of a difference, sometimes it's, big to small, small to big, things along those lines. So there's that. Of course, Auntie, sadly, got up to 5 or so before the end of the stream, but an average of 4 and stuff like that. We don't need any of these Yugi numbers here because there's a collab going on between those two right now. But this is just an example here of, again, there was a lot of bouncing back and forth with the numbers, and now there isn't. I mean, you can collab with your friends and things like that, but it's just a thing where it's about perception and managing an image once again. Now, people don't like that idea, but it's the way the world works. I don't believe in the whole building a brand thing. I think that's too serious and should be relegated to business as opposed to being a streamer. Because remember, brands can be damaged, sometimes irreparably damaged to where they have to be retired. Do you want to believe that you can never have another chance at streaming if you screw up badly enough? Probably not. What this boils down to, though, is don't punish your best people because of your worst people. That's how you end up with no people. So I already observed before all this drama boiled over that her audience could be pretty darn toxic compared to many of her friends, actually, and other streamers who do similar stuff. I was never one of those people that was like, haha, we're going to laugh at how she's a doofus and can't cook an egg or whatever. I was never one of those people who was like, haha, Papega, or Pepe laugh every other line. I actually felt bad that, she's attracted an audience looking silly and naive like this. But I wonder if, some of these people could do a better job of respecting her and actually giving her a chance as a person. And I'd be pretty upset. If it was me, and this is how I know I probably couldn't handle what she deals with in an average day. And I'm actually honest enough to come out and say that. Because big time IRL streamer, takes a lot. Takes a lot to pull that off. Woo! IRL streaming is inherently problematic. You're better off as a daily vlogger on YouTube. So, if someone tries to stream snipe you to get you banned off of Twitch, you can just edit it out. Not have one of those embarrassing incidents like the person that got punched on the subway train and got banned from Twitch for violence in their streams because you're responsible for what you broadcast. It's just being that much of a streamer is inherently stressful in and of itself. And to have your audience basically expecting you to screw up all the time, it's just, if you know you're not that kind of person, how do you not get really upset about that? So, in a sense, though, this is a side effect of her success. This is a side effect of her success. She's gotten big enough that someone feels like it would be worth their time to do something like that weird website and things like that and all this stuff. Even though if you know a few things about logical fallacies and you have a critical enough eye for detail, you can spot the shortcomings in the drama videos, which, by the way, I will be going over on my blog, and I will be writing notes regarding both of them, illustrating things like speculation mixed in with documentation to try and get you to believe speculation by hiding it among stuff that's documented. So it's not like I'm going to be like switching from one side to the other, because I really don't want to be on any side in any of this, other than I'm a nerd who's into multimedia and talks about content creation and stuff. And this is all a huge lesson for me as well. It's a lesson for anybody too, because look at who are her best people, the people that want to support her. Who are her worst people, the people doing this crap. So if the nature and character of your channel changes because of the bad people, you've abandoned your good people to do that. And I can tell you, I've seen the community there, what she calls her community, getting toxic even long before this happened. There's an incident where I joked what SFan would call memeing in the chat, and had people brigading to have me banned as a one-man spammer. You know, just, really? That wide swath of an audience in her chat couldn't take a joke? And then there was the other stuff on the Discord, too. Talking about, for example, it's, you know, please, you know, don't always think that I'm out to screw things up and be stupid and whatnot. You know, it just gets old after a while. Well, there you go. There's the cognitive dissonance right there. You portray yourself one way, and your audience wants you to be that, but you know deep down that you're not that. It's just, how do you handle that? That's the big question. I think she should go on Dr. K at this point. See what Dr. K thinks of it, if she hasn't already. I mean, if Alinity can go on Dr. K, and SFan can go on Dr. K, anybody can go on Dr. K. You know? At this point, the big thing here is just, I think it'd be better if she worked to maybe be a smartass about what these people are saying and diffuse all of that by shutting them down and destroying their credibility. Or the be yourself thing, be something different than how she's being portrayed in some way, shape, or form, which kills the argument these people are making and makes them look like a bunch of crazy people on the internet, which the internet has crazy people on it. So getting others to view them as crazy and off the deep end and stuff like that would actually be beneficial, because it ruins their credibility and people kind of come to expect crazy people to be on the internet. Just one of the side effects of what the internet has been for the past 30 years. So, but again, back to the whole point of this discussion. Do not punish your best people because of your worst people. Part of that is you unceremoniously address through maybe even getting law enforcement involved. But you don't give these people the satisfaction of thinking they in any way have any sway over you. Because we can show you, go onto YouTube, look up video after video after video. Look at the differences between the views and any kind of engagement. We've done that before on this show. The majority of the audience just wants to watch and be entertained. I realize on Twitch, people call them lurkers as if it's a bad thing that people just sit there and watch who may not be interested or enough to sub to your channel and pay you money every month. Or maybe they don't have the money. Maybe they don't have Amazon Prime. Maybe they don't have Twitch Prime. Whoop-de-freaking-do. They're just watching. But that's really it. I mean, and so you have some people raising a ruckus. Well, what percentage of your audience are those people? And how do you keep it small? Because they usually are. They're just making themselves look bigger than they actually are. And so, Suppose you have an audience where 75% of the people watching are just watching and having fun, but it's the people getting on your, it's the 10% of people that are getting on your nerves, and the other people that are kind of iffy about the whole situation. So you ignore at least 75% of your audience to chase after 10% who's already decided in their hearts that they are not going to support you. How is that fair to the good people in your audience? And this is something I've seen S-Fan complain about too. He talks about, people trolling him about classic WoW and how, oh, well, the good people get drowned out by the haters. Well, guess what? That's because people know they can get to you that way, so they do it. Really, if you put yourself in the shoes of the worst kind of person out there, you can really think about and plan your content around people doing stupid stuff like this. Put yourself in the shoes and just try to imagine yourself as the worst person in your audience and then figure out what to do about them that way. And that's how I came up with this whole idea of the most hardened haters out there are going to get around Twitch's ban system by just using VPNs and sock puppet accounts. It's and that's something I see too when I was looking through the logs of these people that had gotten banned for just mentioning things here and there, and the mods just banned them on site. 9 times out of 10, they had no Twitch Prime icon. They had nothing to indicate that they were any kind of subscriber. They were just plain names on Twitch, sock puppet account for all we know. So there have been situations where people who have watched and subbed were caught in the crossfire. That's the part I have a problem with. Because if that has happened before and she doesn't apologize for that, which she can control, by the way, then nobody who doesn't want to troll the heck out of her, aka none of her best people, have any reason to stick around if they can find somebody who's entertaining but doesn't have these drawbacks. Because why would you watch somebody where the one wrong word in your chat gets you instantly banned because of something you may not even know about, because you're not nerding out on their Discord, keeping up with the latest things that are upsetting them? Why would you watch someone like that? But if you're one of the worst people, one of those hardened haters who's going to keep making sock puppet email accounts to tie sock puppet Twitch accounts to and VPN your way out of the IP shadow ban or whatever tricks you have up your sleeve, you're not going to care. But you'll keep on showing up with sock puppet accounts. And since you're one person doing that shows up with that crap, you're going to make the bad part of the audience look bigger than it actually is. So there you go. The best people, nervous, maybe they stick around, maybe they don't. The worst people have no reason to stop, because they've already decided they're not going to be anything but the worst people. So they do that. And eventually the audience just gets more and more foul and toxic until you wonder what the heck happened. And other people notice it too. New people showing up, they're at risk of getting banned because you told your mods, get rid of them if they talk about this, that, or the other. They may legit not know what's going on with the video. They may not have a malicious attitude, but they'll get caught in the crossfire. And of course, people showing up and seeing what the chat has become like, do they want to be involved in that? That's the thing. Once again, it boils down to demographics. And exactly what I've been saying over and over again for, I guess it's weeks now, in varying contexts. Do not punish your best people because of your worst people. That's how you end up with no people. Because as your audience gets worse and worse, and you feel less and less like continuing, eventually you have no audience at all because you've quit the entire thing. So it's really sad, but this is a way for a streamer or a content creator to tank themselves into obscurity. We'll keep an eye on the numbers. But under no circumstances should anybody believe that this specific incident is all-inclusive of these kinds of situations. Because this can happen to anybody. This is a lesson for anybody who wants to take a very close look at this as a content creator. It's even a lesson for me and the way I handle things. I don't believe that she is beyond the ability to get better at this sort of thing. Maybe even take a month off, who knows? Let it all simmer down because you're denying the people that are vampiring off of your content, so to speak, the ability to continue doing what they do and remain relevant. Either way, hope the situation works itself out. But as it stands, if I have to choose between somebody who has drawbacks and somebody who doesn't, I'm not going to watch the person with the drawbacks. So many times I've left channels, not because of anything specifically done to me, but stuff that was done to others. And that actually boils down to when you're dealing with gossip. A really basic rule. If you can gossip to me, you can gossip about me. If you can badmouth someone else, you can badmouth me to someone. If you can badmouth someone else to me, you can badmouth me to someone else. So, who's done the best? I mentioned the AVGN a lot. It's a great example of that. Stays focused on content, not on what some weirdos on the internet are saying. Speaking of content, I have videos to work on. We shall do that. Sounds crazy indeed. It's because it is. By the way, if you study applied psychology, there is such thing as crazy making, which is another thing to watch out for. Either way, that settles this discussion. Never punish your best people because of your worst people. That's how you end up with no people. It may not be fair, but it's the way people are, and it's the way that life works. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.